Tornarelli alla burina, pasta peasant style, with a cream sauce of mushrooms, peas, and salt pork. Native to the Abruzzi region of central Italy, where the old traditions are still maintained in the mountain towns.
Dieta all'agro, Swiss chard dressed with olive oil and lemon. The chard is found in the market square from the Alps to the Apennines, one of the many vegetables prepared and served in this most Italian way. Abbacchio alla cacciatora, lamb hunter style, a very old method of preparing meat and poultry. At its very best is a very simple combination of wines and rosemary. Hunter style, abbacchio alla cacciatora. For this delightful dish, what you need is lamb, 4 pounds, 3-4 pounds of lamb, some vinegar, half a cup of wine, 3-4 tablespoons of olive oil, and a nice, generous tablespoon of rosemary. As an additional little delight, 2 cloves of garlic. Now, the best cut for the lamb, it is the lamb 4. This is half a 4, actually, and it is the part, the front part of the lamb, really. And you have to ask your butcher to cut it in tiny pieces. Well, naturally, you can do it yourself if you're so inclined. And anyway, chop it in pieces that are just as big as egg size. Then, when you got there, at this stage, you want to remove some of the, from the pieces, some of the fat. You don't want this dish to be too greasy, too fatty. And then you put the meat to brown in a pan with the garlic and the oil. 3-4 tablespoons, or just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. It's advisable to turn it on and let the garlic brown. Don't let it, get golden, gently brown. Don't want to over-flavor the oil. The meat, again, try to get as much of the fat out. I don't think that of all the meat fats, the lamb is my least favorite. But then it seems more or less this is quite well prepared and goes into brown. If the garlic is not ready, don't worry at this moment. You can take it out later, but just keep an eye on it and see that, as I was saying before, it doesn't get burned. Cacciatura, hunter style, is not really a flight of fancy to call it this way. It's really an old ancient way that the hunters would cook their venison, deer, boar, hare, wild rabbits, anything they could get, really. And it was a quick, tasty, and fast way to prepare it and to get rid of the strong venison taste. This system, or method, it's good not only for lamb, but today also to cook poultry. You get a chicken, you chop it all in pieces, and you end up with the cacciatura, chicken cacciatura. 1 tablespoon generous of rosemary. Have it go in with the meat. And here we go. I must add also that today there are stocking the land so many versions of cacciatura that it's almost impossible to count them. A little bit of salt. But this, I assure you, is the real basic original cacciatura style. And to my taste is the best, too. Now, what you have to do is to brown. You have the meat nice, well brown. And it takes 5-10 minutes, depending on the size of your meat and the quality. The fatter it is, obviously, it takes a little bit longer. So all I got to do is to wait.
And I won't wait for anybody. Pasta, tornarelli alla burina, thin egg noodles, homemade pasta with a sauce of mushrooms, peas, salt pork, held together with cream and Parmesan cheese. And to begin with, the homemade pasta. Tonarelli, which are also called pasta alla chitarra. For 6 people, you need 5 eggs and 4 cups of flour, approximately. The eggs should be room temperature, and just because Franco does his pasta on the table, there's no reason why I can't do mine in a bowl. So 5 eggs, room temperature, beaten, because I'm doing it in the bowl, and starting with just about half my flour. Big eggs seem to break much more easily than the little ones. You beat the eggs just to get them liquid, like so. Once they're smashed up, you don't have to continue. Start stirring your flour. And you keep on stirring and pouring and stirring and pouring until the flour in your bowl has been absorbed. Now, the eggs will drink up as much flour as they can hold. And you will find by using the bowl method that after you've got a paste started, add some more flour, keep on adding until it's the consistency to work with your hands. Once you've got it down to that consistency, you're going to want to make a nice ball of it and start kneading. Now, it takes about 15 minutes to get to that point. And when it gets to that point, it looks like this. It's elastic, it's soft, and in order to knead it, you're going to want to break off just a piece, especially if you don't have a huge table. You can see the elasticity of that one. And a little bit of flour on your counter, which has been left over from your original mixing. Now we want to roll it out until it's as thick as a toothpick. Now this is a process which by hand can run you 10 or 15 minutes depending on how practiced you are. But there really isn't anything to it. Now Franco always uses the great huge rolling pin, and as a matter of fact I found out it's much easier, and I'll show you why. The big rolling pin, you have to have space for it, allows more pressure and much more pressure to go down on the dough. You still have the problem of flouring, and you have the problem of getting it down. It takes maybe 7 minutes this way and 15 the other way. And practice does really make it go much faster. Franco flaps his, but I haven't gotten to that point. The main thing is thickness. Once you've got it down to the thickness of a toothpick, you're going to let it dry a minute, and it's going to look like this, which I prepared ahead of time. I'm afraid hanging it up has spoiled its shape a little bit, but there you see it's lovely and thin. Yes, I have the shape obviously spoiled in the center. I'll give it a whack. But it's lovely and thin. And in order to cut it by hand, you're going to fold it up with a little flour spread around. Fold it up like so. And you're ready to cut by hand. This is the way, get rid of that one and save it. This is the way the average homemaker would cut it. As thin as possible. And you mustn't worry if they're not absolutely perfectly even, because after all, that makes the texture a little bit more fun in the long run. You just keep on cutting, and once you've got them cut, these are a little wider than a toothpick. It's a big toothpick. You want to put them on just about anything and keep on cutting. They'll dry out a little bit more as they sit there waiting for you to finish. Noodles are cut the same way, and tonarelli are very narrow noodles. They also are called pasta alla chitarra. Well, why chitarra? It's one of those names that comes from the original cutting machine other than the knife, which I will show you. pasta alla chitarra is cut on a crazy little machine like this. Crazy? Well, not really. And for this, you need a slightly softer piece of dough than you need to cut by hand. And the process is very simple. You put your dough on like so, and you play the guitar first with the rolling pin. Now that's so soft it's already been cut. How about that, Franco? Wait a minute. I'll play the guitar and see if grandmother was right. That's the way you cut it if you have an ant. Yeah, right. Pasta mia. Anyway, if you don't have a guitar machine to play and operate with, there is an easier way out, which Franco calls progress in our family. It's the la macchinetta. Now, la macchinetta not only kneads and rolls out your dough, but it will cut it. And for this, you need a dry piece of dough with a straight end. The macchina always has to have a straight end to begin with. Into the final loop, and there you are. It comes out just as even as silken threads. It's marvelous fun. It really is. You can put them all together at this point because it doesn't matter. You can cook the hand cut with the machine cut, and because they're homemade, the cooking time is practically nothing. I love the machine myself because I honestly don't think I have the strength to turn out a lot of pasta for 4 children at the drop of a hat. Oh, that lamb smells so good. Anyway, there it is. Lovely little strands of gold. And you want to leave them sitting out like that. They should be dried in the air another 15 minutes or so. In you go. Come on, pasta. You've been sitting around my kitchen too long. There we go. Lovely. Lovely. Now, all you're going to do now is to let them dry out a little bit longer. You can make them 15, 20 minutes before dinner or in the morning, but don't make them beforehand much longer than that, because if they stand around overnight, they become so brittle that they break when they go in the water. And there.
My meat here is brown, and so I forgot. It's the moment to put a little bit of pepper around it, to spread a few things on the ground.
No, I just dropped the handle of your machine.
And it is time for the alchemy. Here comes my alchemy. Vinegar. Half a cup. And the top of the pan. And what you do, add the vinegar, and quick as a lamb, pour it out. Now you steam it up. The vinegar that is steaming up is really reducing the fats that are in the pan. And delicious. Boy, it has a very pungent steam at this moment. Swish it around a little bit. And then you add half a cup, generous, of white wine. Sorry, the steam of the vinegar really got into my nose. And at this stage, swish it around and see that it seems that the chemistry has worked all by itself. But anyway, if you have tiny little bits of brown meat stuck on the bottom of the pan, this is the moment to undo them. And here it is, the nice amber cacciatura sauce. Now, I took a little bit of a liberty because I used vinegar and wine, but no self-respecting hunter would use that. They would use vino acidulo. That is the wine that wasn't good anymore as wine was turning into vinegar. So the only thing I got to do now is to let the put the thing on the back burner there, on a simmer, and let the juices of the the sauce soak into the meat for 10 or 15 minutes more. I have something else here that had been soaking. Bieta all'agro. Bieta all'agro. It is nothing but Swiss chard. Swiss chard which has been boiled and dressed with oil and lemon. And is a beautiful companion for all sorts of meat dishes. The bieta, you find it in the market this way. And if I had a small knife, here it is, thank you. It is, well, that's the way it looks. The one thing you have to do is to cut the bottom and then clean it well. This is the stage that really you have to soak the leaves and remove completely the sand. Anyway, when that process is done, that's the way it looks. This is the bieta. If I can give you a small botanical lesson, I would say that it has a beginning, a leafy part, and an end, the meaty, stocky part. This you want to cut in pieces. What is it? 2.5 inches, 3 inches. And if it is, if it is nice and crisp, you can snap it and take some of the, or all of them, the threads. This is really thready, more than it should be. But anyway, that's the way it should go. Cut the clean stalk in chunks, save the leaf, and in they go. This naturally have been prepared before, and now they go and have to cook. And for this, you need a big pot of boiling water. It is boiling, which it has to be salted. And salted in the amount of, as usual, one...
I already salted it.
So you don't salt the water. And, but if you do, put 1 tablespoon per, a teaspoon, excuse me, for quart of water. The leaves, here they are. Since they're big, you don't want it big, really that big, and so you cut them up in chunks that will end up in your plate, and you can manage. These two go in. Sink them in right away, and cook for 3, 4, 5 minutes after it's boiling. Cover it up. Don't overcook it, because as all Italian vegetables, they should not be overcooked.
And you may cover your pot, and I will uncover mine. Because for tonerelli alla burina, lovely thin noodles with a sauce of cream, which includes 1/2 cup of cream, a stick of butter, 6 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese, and a cup of mushrooms, and a cup of peas, and diced salt pork. You cook this sauce in 2 sections. The first section is the platter section. The platter goes on top of the bowl, the boiling water, with with the cream, which you can't boil. So you're just putting it in there so it'll get nice and warm. And 1/2 of your butter, and about 2/3 of your cheese. And this is sort of a self-making part of the sauce. They just sort of fuse and blend and so forth over there, while back here on the front burner, which I've got at a medium heat, you put in the rest of your butter. And you're going to want to chop up your salt pork. That's a very lovely piece that we've got here. It's a soft piece of salt pork. When you're buying, check that you get one that's soft and squashy and not too salty. And after you've diced it, put it right in on top of the butter and let it turn translucent. You don't want it to be fried hard. You just want it to be in there being rather happy, turning translucent. Now, the mushrooms are no problem. They never are. They're so good. I dropped one just for good measure. The mushrooms, you just want to cut casually, chop casually, until they're about the size of your peas. No particular size, shape, or anything, just down to little tiny tidbits. And when you've reached the tidbit thing, you're going to check your peas. These are frozen peas. Frozen peas, perfectly lovely things. They cook in about 3 or 4 minutes. Fresh ones would take about 8. But not to worry, because the sauce is practically made at this point. In with the peas. It's almost like off with the heads. And in with the mushrooms. And stir. You're going to want to just a smidgen of salt, and not too much, because the salt pork is going to give you most of the salt in this dish, and you can't really tell. So later on, after it's simmered for about 5 or 10 minutes, it doesn't really matter as long as it's on a nice low heat so it won't overcook. Taste for salt. And that's really about all you have to do if you're cooking that sauce. It's very simple.
And this is time for me to drain the bieta. That's been cooking. It's still firm. And you drain it. You want it well drained. One system for draining without squashing it too much, it is to put a dish in and press it gently. And then all remains to be done with the bieta is to put on a serving dish and dress it. Dress it with oil. The usual proportion of 2 to 1, 2 oil to 1 of lemon. I eat 1, 2, and 3 in this case. And the lemon, which I could cut with a knife. I could try with my hands, but I think that would be working. And just 1.5. Toss it gently so that all the leaves and the stalks get coated. And add a little bit of salt, and this again is to taste. And I would say that our bieta for tonight is ready. It can be arranged and made to look better, but I'm not a decorator.
Lovely. Oh, decoration or not, it's a beautiful color. And now at this point, I've got another beautiful color. The butter's melted, changed the cream to a lovely gold. The cheese is melted, and it's time to put the pasta in. Boiling water, the usual 1 teaspoon to 1 quart. And for 6 people, it's about 6 teaspoons, 6 quarts. And the homemade pasta. In it goes, and it cooks terribly rapidly when it's homemade. It'll be separated by the boiling water. You can separate it a bit if it sticks together. Sometimes it does. You can't always tell. It'll rise right to the top when it's done. If you're using store pasta, egg noodles, folded egg noodles, which can be used, they take a little longer. Watch them. You want your pasta al dente.
And since the pasta is from Abruzzi and the tabacchio is from Abruzzi, I will use some Abruzzi wine. Some good, nice Montepulciano Rosso. Abruzzi, by the way, is one of the 19 regions of Italy. It is part of central Italy. It is a beautiful, really beautiful country. It has high mountains, a beautiful hunting, good skiing, and the nice, gentle pastures that go to the sea. As a matter of fact, they have also a beautiful saying about the Abruzzesi, the mountain people. Abruzzesi, scarpe grosse e cervello fino, which means?
I'll drink to your big feet.
And I to your fine mind.
Before I go on with that, though, I'm going to test this pasta. Homemade pasta cooks so fast. Wait a minute, don't want to burn anything. Al dente. Oh, beautiful. If I can find my pot holder, here we are. It's time to drain the pasta. Franco, would you hold the...
Oh, yeah.
Ah, thank you.
Back to the
yeah.
Hollander trip.
Yeah, poor man sauna. Oh, All right.
For your sinuses.
Now.
Okay, you ready there?
I'm ready here.
Here it comes. It's grained, and in it goes.
Now, it's all golden now, but we're going to change its color right away. But the first thing you do when you put it on the creamy, cheesy, buttery sauce is to be sure that that sauce is coating all your lovely little pasta alla ghittana, tonnerelli. If the sauce has the proper amount of cheese in it, it thickens up right away, just like that. And you're going to want to, after you've turned it over, tidied it up a bit, you're going to want to taste the other half of the sauce. Why taste? Well, in case your salt pork didn't do the bit, and it did, you might want to add a little salt at this time, but that's, And there we are. You got all those precious bits. Turn over once again. They are inclined to sink to the bottom a little bit, so of course the last man served is the lucky one. And you want to dress it up with the last bit of Parmesan cheese. And there you are. Ecco fatto, the pasta. Oh, but it's still so hot. Isn't that a feast to put before the king? I tell you what, I'll serve pasta.
Okay, I'm ready for your pasta.
You're ready for the pasta. Wait. Pass your plate. Here you go. Must be served piping hot, and I think, sir, you'll find it's al dente. Here's some of the precious pieces. There we are. Goodness me. And there's enough for 6. How are you going to do that? Oh, I'd love a piece of bread. Taste that.
Should you give me enough
Cacciatora.
sauce?
I gave you enough sauce. You want some more precious bits? Here you are.
No, once you get to the
There's
other-
nothing like starting a meal with
Right.
pasta. Tonnerelli.
Ah, and the cacciatura could not wait, should not wait.
No,
really.
of course it should not wait.
As a matter of fact, cacciatura you should eat really with bread, fresh Italian bread, because the sauce of the cacciatura is just as important as the meat, really.
Franco and Margaret are also the authors of the book, The Romagnolis Table.